Hey everybody, this is Unit 3, Formative 1 on slope. Make sure you have your notes ready so that you can take a few notes down. Alright, slope is just, when we talk about slope, we're talking about the steepness of a line. So anytime we would talk about slope, we're talking about something to do with a line, okay? And we're most likely going to be looking at a graph. When we also talk about slope, we're also going to refer to it as rate of change, or in other words, how fast or slow something is changing. So like miles per hour or gallons per minute or something like that are all a rate of change, okay? Or in other words, a slope. Alright, so here's where you guys could get your graph paper out and draw this line on your graph paper. You might want to pause the video and get that jotted down. Okay, so when we find slope of this line here, we're talking about how fast it's changing, your rate of change. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is I like to always start with the point that's on the left. Okay, so in that case, we would be talking about this point right here. Okay, so we're going to start with this point, all right, and we want to figure out, okay, how far down do I need to go to get level with that point right there? So I went down, okay, and I'm going to go down 4 units, right? Well, since I went down, that's going to be a -4, right? And then I'm going to go over to the right. Okay, and I'm going to go right 5 units. So right is a positive number. So your slope, okay, we're going to abbreviate that with just an M. Slope is always abbreviated with an M, is just -4/5. Okay, so in other words, what we did here is we just took the rise over the run to get from one point to another. Okay? All right, let's look at another one here. All right, for this one here, if you notice, the last line was actually going down the hill and we ended up with a negative slope. This one is actually going up a hill, so it's slanted towards the right, so we should end up with a positive slope for this one. So let's start with this point right here because that's on our left. Okay, you can start with either point. I just like to start with the one that's on the left. And remember, slope, your M is just rise over run. So let's see how far we have to rise to get even with that point. Well, we rose 3 places. And if we go up, it's positive. So we're going to leave it as a +3. Okay? And then we have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to the right to get over. So again, +6 because we went to the right. So we have 3/6. Well, if you look at that fraction 3/6, it can actually be reduced to 1/2. So we're going to say our slope is just 1/2 for this line. Okay? All right, if we look at this line here, we don't actually have any points that are given for us. But if you look more closely at the line, we can actually find some points. So we have a point right here where it crosses right in the middle of 2 boxes. Here where it crosses in the middle of 2 boxes. Here's another nice point, and here's another one. Now, all you need is 2 points to be able to find slope. You don't need all 4, okay? But it's nice to know how to find them, okay? So the reason why we didn't use a point like this right here is because it's not in the corner of the boxes like here and here. Okay, same thing with this one. It's not in the corner, so we can't use this one either. We can't use one like this, or we can't use one like this. Okay, so you want to pick one that is right in the corner of a box when you're not actually given a point. All right, now if we want to find our slope for this graph, remember it's going to be rise over run, and in this case our line is slanting downward, so I'm going to know that I'm going to have a negative slope for this one. Okay, whether my top or bottom number is negative, I'm going to have a negative slope. All right, so for this one, let's start with this point right here, and let's just go to this point. So we went down 1 unit, so that's going to be a -1 because down is negative, and then 1 2 places to the right, so positive 2. All right, so your slope then is -1/2. And yes, I just about busted into the cup song. All right, here is 2 different types of graphs. This one right here, the first one, is called a vertical line because it's straight up and down. This one is called a horizontal line because it's straight sideways, okay? Now, anytime you have a vertical line, your slope is going to be called undefined. The reason being is because if you pick, let's say, 2 points on this graph right here and here, okay, your rise in this case would be 4, but your run would be 0. You don't run at all. Well, anything divided by 0, you get an error in your calculator. That's why we say it's undefined, okay? In this case, let's pick any 2 points on this line right here. Let's say here and here. Well, if I want to rise for this one, I would rise 0, but then I would run 6. Well, 0 divided by anything is just 0. So the slope of a horizontal line is always going to be 0. So vertical is always going to be undefined. Horizontal will always be 0. An easy way to remember this is think about when you go sledding. Okay, if you sled on a flat hill like a horizontal line here, okay, what's going to happen? How much fun are you going to have? Well, you're going to have 0 fun because you're not really going to go very far. Okay, but what's going to happen to you if you sled on a vertical line, or on a vertical hill? Well, your body's going to be undefined. All right. Did you know that porcupines, when they're born, actually have soft quills, and they get hard after about an hour of them being born? All right, last problem here. So we want to figure out who has the fastest rate of change, or in other words, the steepest slope. Okay, so when we look at our lines here, basically all we want to figure out is who is changing faster, who has a bigger rate of change. Well, or who is who's changing faster? Well, in this case, Jeff is going up way quicker than Sally or Jose. So Jeff would actually have the fastest rate of change, okay? Whereas Jose, okay, is just kind of slowly pacing along there. His is almost a flat line, so he almost has a slope of 0, okay? So Jose would actually be the slowest. Okay, you can go back to think of vertical and horizontal lines again. Okay, horizontal lines have a slope of 0, so you're moving at a pace of 0. Okay, whereas vertical lines, so Jeff's line is really close to vertical, so he's undefined. He's moving so fast, he's undefined. Okay, all right, and that is it for slope on graphs. Make sure you took notes. If you did not, you need to go back and rewatch the video. We will talk to you later.